Welcome back. Tonight it's time to have another go at the VIC-20. The NTSC VIC chip that I ordered finally arrived, so let's hook in and see if I'm about to get lucky. At this point, the VIC-20 board has the 2114 colour RAM removed and the two CIAs removed because it should boot up and at least produce a composite video image with those removed from the board, except it doesn't. And I had proved in a previous video that with the keyboard connected I could type basic commands. I could get the cassette motor to start and stop on command from the command line, so that sort of proved that the CPU was running, that the BASIC was running, and there was a reasonable level of functionality that was working on the machine. In the last video I hooked the logic analyzer up and confirmed that the CPU was in fact writing to the VIX registers. I didn't have enough inputs on the analyzer to see what the data was it was writing, so it was possible that that was getting corrupted, but I had a fair degree of confidence that the processor was at least trying to write to the VIC chip. So at that point I sort of thought, yeah, maybe the VIC chip is the culprit. So fast forward to today, and the VIC chip that I ordered from the UK, which is ironic because I live in Australia and the video region here is PAL, and the UK, the video region is PAL, and yet I ended up ordering an NTSC chip from the UK, so kind of ironic. But that arrived. Of course, there's no guarantee it'll fix the problem. I could have two dead VIC chips, I could have two good VIC chips, or I could have one good one and one bad one and some completely unrelated problem. So yeah, don't know how this is going to end up yet, but we'll see how we go. So yeah, let's break it out of the package. So yeah, here's the new one. It came in a little sort of almost padded bag this afternoon. So yeah, let's get it out of the bag. And there it is, 6560-101. So first up, let's just make sure that the machine hasn't mysteriously fixed itself. So no, we're getting absolutely nothing. And I'll just confirm that, because that's going through RetroTink. I'll just confirm that on a regular TV. And no, not a cracker. Okay, so let's just lift this VIC chip out of here. I don't really like this chip lifter, but as you can see, the amount of space I've got to work in there is quite limited, so just have to be very careful. Because with this chip puller, chips tend to come out in a real hurry. And it's very easy to bend pins. So pin 1 was at that end. So we'll get our new VIC chip and pin 1 at this end as per the notch. So we'll sit that in there. So a quick look, make sure we're not going to bend any pins. No, that's looking okay. Another quick look, make sure we didn't actually bend any pins. No, that looks fine. So plug our power back in, see what happens. Wow. We have a VIC-20 that's booted up. Now the colours are out of whack, but that's because the colour RAM isn't installed. So let's install that. Turn the machine off. And pin 1, yep, that's the right way up. Didn't bend any pins. Let's try that. Hey. I'm guessing the lack of a flashing cursor, as per the Commodore 64, probably boils down to not having the CIAs installed. So let's put those in. Power's off. That one's in. And that one's in. I don't know if these CIAs are good or not. Let's boot it up and see what happens. And we have a flashing cursor. So I'm guessing at least one of the CIAs is okay. I don't have a test harness for this, so I can't run any diags on it, at least not at this point. But so far so good. So I'm thinking at this point I probably should start putting it back together in its case. I'll just turn it off and unplug it and we'll hook into that. Okay, so we'll put the can back over the clock circuit and the VIC chip. It should just push straight back on, and it does. Then we've got the heatsink to go back on the regulator. We might just give that a bit of a clean off. Clean it off the regulator as well. Right, that's cleaned off. Okay, heatsink compound. We're not going to need a lot of this, just a little bit, because it will smear itself around. Ooh. We'll just spread that around. Said we'll spread that around. That should spread itself around anyway. And I screw it on. And that goes back on. Like that-ish. Now I've got to get the screw here because it screws through from the underside. Screws through. Oh, good. That was clever, wasn't it? Right, in the hole. I said in the hole. Just sort of spin that to its. We've got a little bit of excess heatsink compound here. I might have scraped some actually as I was putting it on. Just clean that up. Otherwise, yeah, I can see a nice layer of heatsink compound there. So that's on. Now we got this to go on around these ports. How many screws do we need? 2 screws. Okay. 2 screws. Where are my 2? There they are. 1 and two, these two. One, I'm just going to position this carefully. Two. Right, we've got our cable on here. Do I put this back on? Probably be nice to, because it keeps the machine sort of intact in one piece. If I put this back on, it's sort of closer to original condition. So I might put that back on. Just bend the tabs down. And the soldering iron up. That one's going to be a little fiddly down in the middle there. And that one there. Did we get them all? Yes, we did. And probably don't really need to solder these back on, but I will. They'll take quite some heat, I imagine. Right, so that's got our RF shield back on. Yep. Okay, now we should be ready for the bottom half of the case. And how many screws? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. By the look of it. Those ones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, there's always one. 7. Okie dokie. And then we've got the keyboard to plug back in, which goes that way. And our power lead, where does the power, oh, over there. Power LED. Oh, there's some clips on the back like that. Now we've got 3 screws at the front. and 3, and they're all the same length. Rightio. See if it still works. Okay, that wasn't quite down properly. Power video. Power LED came on, and there we go. Okay, we seem to have, oh, shift lock's down. Okay, looks promising. Let's dig up a cartridge. So we've got pinball. Shut it off. Whack that in. Turn that on. What do we get? The serve button on the paddle. I don't have a paddle, so that's going to be a problem. But it works. So that's a good thing. Let's try. We've got crazy antics. I have no idea what that is, but let's try that. Okay, and that one didn't fire up at all. Oh, well, is it any surprise that that didn't start up? Ay, ay, ay. So it turns out I lied. The box that all this stuff came in, I forgot, it has a joystick in it and 2 paddles. So, yeah, I might get that pinball game out again and give it another go. We'll turn that on. Doesn't seem to be any way to work out which paddle is which, but I guess we'll. I guess one will work and one won't. Or do I? Oh, hit F1. Yes, it's just really scratchy and horrible. Yeah, and you can see the balls floating around there. When I hit the button, it releases it. Yeah, that paddle is just horrible. Let's have a look and see what else came with this this VIC-20. So we've got some tapes. We've still got to try the tape player actually. So we've got casino style blackjack, an introduction to basic, Blue Meanies from Outer Space. What a title for a game. Unofficial and illegal copy of the Wizard's Magic toy box. Okay. And we've got Sliver, Super Sliver, Space Math. I wonder if my wife played this when she was a kid. I don't know what's on the side. Oh, more Space Math. An Introduction to Basic Part 1, another copy. Just some regular old cassette tapes, probably been used to store some programs on. Expense Calendar Part 1 and 2. You have the data set manual. Okay. Operating instructions for a Miracord 40. So yeah, I don't think that's related to this VIC-20 somehow. Manual for Super Alien. Personal Finance. VIC-20 games, computer games on cartridge. Must just be generic instructions. Something about biorhythms. Pinball Spectacular. Casino style blackjack. Must have come with the tape. Scott Adams Adventure Games. More Scott Adams Adventure Games. More Scott Adams adventure games, because you can never have too many more Biorhythm stuff by the look of it. More Biorhythms. Car Chase. Cosmic Cruncher. More just generic cartridge instructions. Then we have some cartridges. Gorf. Cosmic Cruncher. Amiga Race. Personal Finance. Avenger. Slot. And Jupiter Lander. Pirates Cove. Another little manual. Adventureland. Alien. Mole Attack. Radar Rat Race. And Poker. So quite a selection of cartridges. Oh, and we've got the crazy antics with the really crusty looking edge connector. So it'll be interesting to see how well that one recovers. Worst case, I suppose I can copy the ROM, depending on what's in there, assuming it's just a ROM and doesn't have anything else in there. Can copy that onto another cartridge, I expect. So that's yeah, all the VIC-20 stuff I picked up. This was my wife's family's computer back when she was a kid. So that's sort of why I was willing to spend a few dollars getting it going again, because it's got a little bit of sentimental value. Well, I've plugged the data set in. Let's try our luck and see if it actually works, and we can load load some software off it. Okay, so I'm not exactly an expert at VIC-20 things, but I think I can probably just go load. Press play on tape, and it's playing. Let's see what happens. Okay, it's loaded. Run. Oh, look at that. It's loaded. Oh, let's rewind it. So it's probably fair to say that our cassette tape drive works. Sorry, blue meanies from outer space. Inquiring minds gotta know. Genuine Commodore Business Machines title. I wonder if you might need a joystick for this. I haven't got it plugged in. Yeah, mashing the keyboard and nothing seems to be really happening. So yeah, I'm guessing it needs a keyboard or maybe a paddle. But yeah, looks like a riveting game. I'm so glad I invested 2 minutes into that. So as it turns out, the VIC chip was at fault. Should I have just tried substituting a known good VIC chip right from the start? Sure, if I had one. This machine's the only VIC-20 I've got, so I don't have a known working machine that I can try parts in or try parts from. So yeah, trying another VIC wasn't really an option for me. Do I regret spending all the time trying to diagnose the issue before I gave in and bought a VIC? Not really. If VIC chips were readily available for $10 a piece, then sure, yeah, I probably would have just gone that way and tried it from the start. But VIC chips are neither readily available nor cheap, so it was probably worth my time to have a bit of a poke around and play with a few things before I went down the route of buying another VIC chip. But in any case, the machine's working again now. The family may well have a bit of a play with it, and yeah, should get some enjoyment out of it. Anyway, if you like what you saw, then feel free to subscribe and tap that like button. Leave me some comments on what you think I could have done better or other suggestions you might have. And in the meantime, let's go out with some Avenger. Until next time.